Some best practices that we work with our customers on would be, the reporting factor. So year over year comparison, how much did you spend last year? What was your CPA last year? How many applies did you get for that volume or for that cost? And then what locations were most challenging last year? And as Kyle said, benchmarking is really important. If you don't know the answers to those questions, you can start benchmarking this year, and we can certainly support that. But knowing where you came from helps you know where you're going. It helps inform that strategy so that you're making better and smarter decisions every single year. Optimizing your apply flow is a huge one. And it is a bit repetitive based on what Kyle said, but for a really important reason. Your apply flow is how candidates are finding you and getting to you. And this isn't a normal kind of apply process. You, in your seasonal hiring needs, need to hire a bunch of people really fast. So the strategy that you're presenting or preparing is going to be different than what happens just during your low points throughout the year. So we typically encourage people to have a 5-minute or less apply time to prevent candidate drop off so that you do get those names and resumes through the door. A big one is mobile apply. We're seeing that continue to increase. We were predicting in very early 2020 that mobile would overtake desktop in 2020, and obviously the pandemic turned that on its end, but that trend continues to kind of push through, that mobile is where people are finding your jobs, especially if it's a blue collar job. So being able to optimize your apply flow for mobile is going to help you get more candidates. And what we mean by that is have you ever even applied to your job on your phone or your mobile device? Did you have to pinch the screen and move it around? Was it kind of a painful experience to go through? As Kyle said, maybe some of the drop downs won't work all the time. Fixing those problems can make your life a lot simpler when you do need to go and ramp up. And then another thing that we talk about with customers is this term we call friction questions. So a friction question is a question that slows people down or leads to drop off in an apply flow. A good example would be asking somebody for their SIN number right up front. We often recommend removing any of these friction questions or unnecessary questions up front. And usually it's, a bit of a back and forth. Sometimes the recruiters understand why we want to do that, but then their management or HR team says, we require you to fill out WOTC or your SIN number or whatever the case may be. We need that information, so we might as well just ask it up front. And I guess the pushback from our side is, what are you trying to accomplish? And again, in your seasonal hiring, it's to hire a ton of people really fast with a certain budget. So if removing those friction questions, at least for this peak season, can help you accomplish those goals, and you can collect that information further down in that funnel, then that's probably a smarter play. And then lastly, monitor your results in as real time as possible, daily, weekly. Make sure that you're understanding where you're having progress and where you're struggling, and be prepared to pivot. Be able to compare your results to last year, and like Sarah was kind of mentioning, this year is a more challenging year. So adding that context to your analysis or to your plan, why you think this year is different or why it was in fact different, helps other people in your organization truly understand, the pain points that you're dealing with, so that you can get smarter collectively as an organization.